Hello and welcome to this video about pandas for data handling. We're excited to have you here, and in this video we are going to talk about pandas operations and techniques, and in particular practical Python and pandas object inspection centered on data frame objects and objects inside data frames. This video will mainly be concerned with the pandas info function and the Python type function. With these two functions, you can inspect if a data frame and its contents really are defined to be what they appear to be, and this is both useful and time-saving. Object inspection, the info and the type functions. We'll begin to talk about the info and the type functions, and the info functions gives us information on the object it is used on, and the type function returns the object type of the object it is used on. The info function creates a short summary of the object or data frame it is used on, and in particular, it describes the data in the data frame, and this can be of great use for any analysis and gives information on how you will be able to use the data with your programs, the data properties, which columns needs data handling, and so on. The info function also provides info on index data types, columns, non-null values, and the memory usage of the data frame. The memory usage and the size of the data frame are extremely important numbers for many computationally intensive algorithms. The type function is a Python function which returns the object type of the object it is used on. There are more Python functions that returns more information about objects they are run on, but the type function is useful to determine the fundamental object type of pandas objects and simple object types. And it is also important to say that the type function returns the object's declared object type, which not necessarily is the same thing as the object's real object type. So right, now we're going to type some code, so start up your code editors. Alright, having started our Jupyter Labs notebooks, we are now going to type some code. And we will begin with our standard car sales data frame. So we'll begin by importing pandas as PD. We will create our car data dictionary. We will use the dictionary to create our car sales data frame. We will rename the indexes. We will rename the index labels. And we'll print the car sales data frame to make sure that everything loaded properly. So let's run this code. And here we have our car sales data frame in one piece. So the first thing we will do is that we will show the data frame info function. We type print data frame .info and use it on our car sales data frame. And we run this code. And here we have the info on our data frame. We can see that the class is a data frame object. We have 6 entries, 1, 2, 6. We have 4 data columns. And the columns are described, so we get to know how many values we have, how many non-null values we have, and their data types. And in this case, the data type is described as int64, and we have 4 of them. And we have memory usage statistics, and here the info function considers this data frame to take up a little bit more than 240 bytes of the RAM memory. And we can take a look at a returned series object from a data frame. We can type print car sales, and we can use the data column. Info. So let's run this code. And here we can see that we have a series object. It has 6 entries, 1 to 6. The series name is Tata. And we have the usage statistics for this series. And we can take a look at a returned data frame object of the same dimensions. We can type print car sales data .info. So let's run this code. And here we can see that we have a data frame object, and that this data frame object has approximately the same properties as the series object. So now we have studied all the uses of the info function, and now we'll take a look at the type function from Python. And we will begin to print the object type inside a Pandas data frame cell. We can type print car sales locate sales place 2 for Ford. And we can put the type function on it. So let's run this code. And here we can see that Python returns the class numpy int64. And this is very interesting because Pandas has converted all its internal objects into numpy integers instead of Python integers. And the numpy integers and Python integers have some differences which are important to understand. For example, a Python integer has no top roof except the RAM memory, whereas a numpy int is limited to 64 bits, which is a humongously large number, but still a roof for what it can contain. And there are also many other properties. For example, numpy ints are much faster than Python ints for most calculations and operations. And therefore, Pandas converts all Python ints to numpy ints as a standard and hide this fact under the hood. And this is very important to know and understand. And we can take a little more thorough look at this. So we can type, let's test this thoroughly. We can type print parcels iloc u.2, and we put the type function on it. So let's run this code. And once again, we have a numpy int64 returned. So let's create a Python int for comparison. We can type x equals 4, and we can print the type of x. So let's run this code. And we have a proper Python int returned. So let's make another type of test. We can use the dtypes function. So we type print car sales data types. Let's run this code. And here we can see that the data types function on the car sales data frame reports the data types for our 4 columns. And they say that the data type is an object and that it is an unknown int64 data type. And we can make another test with the locate function. We can type y equals car sales, locate u and Ford. And we can print y. So let's run this code. And here we are informed that the class of the integer object is a numpy int64. And we can try to cast the object back to a Python integer. We type print type int y. So let's run this code. And here we can see that the cast function easily can transform a numpy int back to a Python int. And we have a lot more code which can perform this feat. We type this code, shows how to get the data back to Python variables or objects. And we can say if necessary. And the toolist method can also be used on non collection objects. And this means that we can use them on integers, floats, and many other such objects. So we can type fed equals car sales dot locate view board to list. And we can print the type of Z. So let's run this code. And here we can see that we have a true and proper int after this toList function has converted the numpy int to a proper Python int. And we can type that a very smart option is to use the column-based Pandas function toList. And here we can see that the Pandas toList is very closely named to the toList function. So this is something to be careful with when you type code. List equals car sales board to list. And we can type for n in list print type n. So let's run this code. And here we can see that we have a list of proper Python ints, because we use the Pandas function to convert our data back to Python format. And we can say that numpy also has a number of methods to convert numpy objects to Python objects. For example, numpy and the array item. All right. In this video you have learned how to inspect objects with Pandas plus a bonus of useful Pandas and Python knowledge. And in particular how you convert objects between Pandas, Python and some other formats. And of course the importance of knowing the properties of the objects you are using. And the golden nugget of information in this video is of course the importance of knowing the properties of the objects you are using and how to control the properties of these objects. In the next video you will learn how to inspect Pandas data frames using inter alia the Pandas head and tail function. And we look forward to see you in the next video.